Welcome back to day 2 of 2024's Advent of Code. The server was facing some issues today, so I'm expecting that they'll probably remove today from the leaderboards for fairness, but it will remain to be seen whether or not they decide to do that. That aside, let's jump straight into this challenge. So we're going to be getting our puzzle input as a list of lists of integers, each space separated, and each line will be one report, which is a list of levels. We're trying to figure out which reports are safe, and a report is safe if its levels are gradually increasing or gradually decreasing, meaning they're all increasing or all decreasing, and by between 1 and 3 each time, in either direction. So with our test data loaded, let's get straight into it. So what we're going to do is keep a count number, and let's define a function that will take a report and determine whether or not it's safe. So in order to determine if levels are safe, we can assume that levels is an array of integers. We will first grab the increasing and decreasing diffs. So one trick we can use for this is zip. So the zip function in Python, as a refresher, is a function that takes in multiple lists and goes through them in column-wise order. So if we feed zip two lists like this, then when we zip them together, we will get 3 pairs like so. Once one of the arrays is exhausted, all remaining elements are discarded. Suppose we have a list like 1, 2, 3. If we want to go through each adjacent pair, what we can do is we can slice off the first element of the list, which gives us this, and then we can zip those two together. When you zip 1, 2, 3 together with 2, 3, you get 1, 2 as the first pair, 2, 3 as the second pair, and everything else is chopped off. You'll notice that this gives us our adjacent pairs. So what we can do is we can zip levels with the first element removed. That gives us our pairs. And then we can zip through them with 4x, y in that. And now we just need the differences between each adjacent pair of elements, like so. The conditions for diffs being safe is that either they're gradually increasing, in which case the difference must be between 1 and 3, or they're gradually decreasing, in which case the difference must be between -1 and -3, like so. The two conditions are if all 1 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 3 for x in diffs, or the inverse condition, -1 greater than or equal to x greater than or equal to -3 for x in diffs. If this is true, then we will return true, or because we're just returning a Boolean value, we can just return this directly. Now let's read our input. For each report in the input, levels is going to be determined by taking the report, splitting it on its white space, and then converting those to integers like so. And then we can do if safe levels count plus equals 1. And at the end, we just need to output the total count to get our answer for this part. For the second part, we are getting a modification to what counts as safe. It turns out that the reactor can tolerate a single bad level using the problem dampener module. And so essentially a report is now considered safe if one of the levels being removed makes it safe according to the first condition. One notable thing here is that if a level is already safe, then you can make it safe by removing the first element or by removing the last element, because that does not affect the condition at all. What this means is we don't need to check the original list. We can just check the list with any of the elements removed, including the first or the last, and then we don't need to check the original list itself. The way we're going to do this is by skipping over an element using a fairly common pattern. Let's say we have a list of numbers and we want to skip over the number at a certain index, let's say 1 in this example. What we want to do is essentially grab the list before that element and the list after that element and add them together. To get the list up to, but not including index 1, we use the slice like so. To grab the list starting at index 2, we use a slice like so. And so to cut out the element at index n, we essentially do this. And so we iterate n from 0 through to the length of the list minus 1, which tries removing each of the elements, and if any of these are safe, then we're good. Note again that removing the first element or the last element will make a safe list still safe, so we don't need to check the original list itself. So now we can do if any safe something for something. The loop condition will be looping our index from 0 up to the length of levels, so that will be for index in range of length of levels. And the thing that we're testing here is going to be the list with that index removed, which will use this pattern. So it will be levels up to the index plus levels starting from beyond the index. If any of these are safe, then that means that the problem dampener module will be able to handle this report, and so we should count it. And so with this modification, we get our answer for part 2. So that's all for today's problem. Again, hopefully they'll remove the hopefully they'll remove today from the leaderboard, as a lot of people are experiencing issues with loading the data from the server, but it'll remain to be seen whether or not they decide to do that. That said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.